that something is going to happen.
Illegal foreigners, how can you be surrounded by illegal foreigners?
The only language that they knew was violence.
I was not really me. I was always crying and thinking that our brothers and uncles have died there.
In March 1987, at the height of South Africa's then biggest ever public service strike, a group of strikers drove 4 non-strikers here, dropped a 31-kilogram rock on their victim's head, and burnt their corpses. The strikers' defense team included Lloyd Vogelman, a clinical psychologist who established the Project for the Study of Violence to answer one crucial question: why? Why were fundamentally decent people driven to committing such grotesque acts of violence? Ultimately, the defendants escaped the death penalty. Based at Wits University, Lloyd and his expanding team were among the first to tell the other side of South Africa's bloody turmoil. Global interest exploded. Project for the Study of Violence became Center for the Study of Violence and Reconciliation. Funds flooded in. Programs and initiatives multiplied. Among the first unheard groups to find a voice through the CSVR were ex-combatants, subject of a groundbreaking research report wishing us away. In 1995, CSVR came of age when our relentless determination to give South Africa's voiceless a voice, culminating in the establishment of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. We played an instrumental role in shaping the TRC model. We mobilized communities to attend hearings. Crucially, we also gave psychosocial support to victims during and after hearings.
My name is Mudiegi Merafi. I was politicized. There was a trial in Bethel. 18 PAC and Black consciousness activists were charged with treason. Of these 18, 4 did not survive. 2 of them came from Kagiso. Both the apartheid system blamed their death on suicide. And as we grew up, we realized, but there's something that is not on. We became members of the Azania National Youth Unit. It was an internal organ of the banned PAC. We used to refer to it as a mobilizing force. So that's how you become active and get involved in this. All of us were into this without looking to be compensated. But there were promises that were made, and today most of them are living like paupers, and it's an indictment on government and everybody else. It's like the powers that be are banking on the fact that the ex-combatants are a dying community. So there will no longer be a problem once they are gone. With the CSVR, they were looking for people who are able to organize groups, focus groups, discussions, because they were involved in a memorialization project. But also there was the peace building project which I got involved in. I think the most important thing for me was how CSVR deepened my understanding of violence and its consequences. And with CSVR, I had to unlearn this language of violence.
As the work expanded, we began to tackle conflicts and violence in communities and societies more holistically. With collective violence on the rise, we began by asking why, analyzing what caused the violence and who would partner with us to lobby the solutions. In pursuit of answers, CSVR's work crystallized into 3 strands: intervention, advocacy, research. When the xenophobic attacks we anticipated eventually erupted in May 2008, CSVR immediately defaulted to its activist roots while working tirelessly to influence public policy. Once again, we connected research with advocacy and grassroots action. But these were traumatic times nationally and internally. Our hands-on response to the victims of xenophobia triggered awkward questions from some colleagues, like, would we invest this much time and effort into supporting victims if they were South Africans rather than foreigners? Time would tell.
My name is Godansu Izeye. In 2008, we had the xenophobic attack, and it started in Johannesburg, in Alexandra, exactly. I think South Africa was not expecting something like that. That's why nothing was prepared to hear that. The research, the smoke that calls, was really to tell to the nation. It was to say that the early warning that we hear, that we see, needed to be taken into consideration. I think for someone who experienced the genocide in 94, hearing how the brewing of messages that were coming up, for me, I put that connection, and that's why I was even telling my colleague, I will tell them that something is going to happen. And this is how it started even in Rwanda, and we ended up having the genocide. CSVR was working with communities, so we got all those information. Our clients were calling us saying that this is happening in my community. They are here, they are by GP, they are in Mayfair. And our role as CSVR was to call all those leaders, provide information for the police, to call the police to come for intervention. So our clients were moved to the camp that was established in Rosettenville because we had that connection with the communities. I think the work that we do brings such a connection with the victim of violence. When something like this incident happens again, we know that it triggers a lot of experience among the victim. So our role is to support, to be on the side of the victim, and that's what we did at that time.
At home, our reputation as a transitional justice champion continued to grow. Our work in other areas continued to change lives. In parallel, our reputation in the rest of Africa also went from strength to strength, with the birth of our long-standing relationship with the AU. This relationship gave us a place at the table where policies designed to consolidate and reinforce transitional justice practice across Africa are forged. Following our work in Liberia, Sierra Leone, Syria, South Sudan, the Gambia, Sudan, Mali, Bangladesh with the Rohingya refugees, and more recently, Ukraine, we were now emerging as an organization addressing local, continental, and international challenges. Then came Marikana.
My name is Tume Gamagwanrana. On the 16th of August 2012, the mine workers were sitting at the Kopi waiting for their superiors to come and respond to their plea of getting an increase to their monthly salary. But instead of their superiors come, they came the police. The police was here to end the strike in no time by any means. So they came and said to the mine workers must go home, but the place was all barricaded with fence and water tanks. So they did that, and then they shot the mine workers. When CSVR came, I was also the one who welcomed them. I even write the people that are going to do counseling. The community that was there, they receive CSVR with good hands. They were so happy that CSVR came. Then it's whereby we built up an organization called Sikhala Sonke. The women were happy to be in that process, in that learning. It was good for them because they wanted to counsel the mine workers themselves. When CSVR came, it brings a lot of change, even to me. When I was in that process of learning, my heart was beginning to calm because I was very rude and aggressive.
Once again, we defaulted to activist mode, moving with speed to provide practical support to the victims of the massacre. It was the start of a relationship that continues to this day. Guided by our founding vision of peaceful, equal, and violence-free societies, and with the enduring support of our partners, we continue to research, advocate, and intervene in 4 key areas: gender-based violence, collective violence, including xenophobia, redress for victims, including healing, and transitional justice. In 2019, we came of age as a transitional justice pioneer when the AU formally adopted the AU Transitional Justice Policy, a defining moment that took almost 10 years to reach. More recently, we have come full circle in our fight against gender injustice by launching the Gender Program.
Our footprint in 23 countries in the last 5 years is a testament to our resolve and our focus in ensuring that societies are peaceful and violence-free.
I would say that we have truly shaped the transitional justice agenda in Africa to a larger extent. We speak now of CSVR being present in 23 countries that are currently undertaking their own national transitional justice processes, for instance. We talk of almost 10 years of CSVR providing technical support to the African Union to develop the African Union Transitional Justice Policy. That is largely part of the contribution that we've brought to the transitional justice landscape in Africa.
I think our contribution is in studying violence to help societies and policymakers understand its effects in order to address it. We also heal its effects in the aftermath of conflicts.
In the next 35 years, transitional justice has a major role to play in addressing some of the threats that we see globally and even on the African continent.
35 years on, it often feels as if our work has only just started. The world feels more unstable than it has for decades. Escalating tensions in Ukraine and the Middle East, combined with the rise of populist politics, mass atrocities, coup d'etat, and emerging threats such as climate change, beg the questions: what now? What next? Our board of directors plays a critical role in sustaining the organization. The board is the constant within the structure. It holds institutional memory, historical background. It shapes strategy and supports the operations of the organization.
I desire the future for CSVR to be exactly that, more community focused as we have done throughout the years.
Ensuring that the healing continues and the reconciliation from the ground upwards.
And that's why also the work that CSVR does is so important, because we get these stories out there, we expose people to these stories, and I don't want us to get to a point where transitional justice has a look. So I feel like the work that we do is also motivating to people who are in these communities that we go to do the same work that we do, so that it doesn't look like you have to be in you have to look a certain way to be able to bring change into the world.
Bringing in the younger generation and passing the baton stick to the next generation, ensuring the reach of these approaches and ways of responding to violence reaches as many communities across the globe as possible.